What's good, everyone? This is DJ's Raw and Cut Truth, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. And I'm honored and blessed to have Derek Bordeaux here to talk about fatherhood. How you doing, my brother?
My brother, appreciate you so much. I appreciate all the love and attention you guys are giving my boys, especially Tyson.
Yes.
He's worked hard for it, and I appreciate you guys acknowledging that.
Yes, sir. So in this stream, we're going to talk about fatherhood and sports. We're living in a time where society wants to diminish the role of Black fathers because they know the power that we have in our communities. My brother, being a father to talented sons, how does it feel being a father knowing that you are creating something that's potentially great, not only in just football, but in life itself?
It feels really, really good when you see things working the way you wanted them to, or the way you seen it in your head. You know what I mean? As a father, and I hope I don't get too long-winded. As a father, you know, when your kids are born, you automatically have a vision of what you want them to be. So following your plan and kind of sticking to it, and then seeing it work is really rewarding. Oh man, it kind of chokes me up. It's really rewarding because you go through so much, and when you're, unfortunately, this, from my point of view, and everything I'm going to express here is just my opinion. Okay, it's not written in stone. I don't want to get all a bunch of people that doesn't work. That's not true. This is what's worked for me. This is my opinion. You don't have to like it. You know what I'm saying? So I can just talk about how hard it was when other people don't understand your vision, but they all want to have a say-so in your kids. So it's really hard, you know, just still pushing forward. You get people in this ear, people in that ear, and you stick to your plan and keep going, and then it works. You know, and of course there's bumps in the roads, and of course some things don't work out the way you intended them to be, but you still stick to it and you get the end result that you were hoping for. I can't put it into words. I can't put that feeling into words.
Powerful, my brother. And I wanted to ask you, when Tyson chose to commit to Grambling State, a historic HBCU college, was there any pushback from other sides saying, why would you go to the HBCU when you could have been Power 5?
There's still pushback. There's still pushback. You know, again, you have to follow the vision. And I'll date this all the way back to 4 or 5 years ago when we completely agreed to go to Long Beach Poly, right? My wife's Long Beach Poly alumni, and her deal was, when I'm from Santa Ana. So Santa Ana, if you're not familiar with it, that's where Modern Day is. So I'm thinking, you know, hey, our kids are going to go to Modern Day. She's like, no, they're going to go to Poly. And I said, okay, well, when the time comes, let's see what's best. So when we chose to go to Long Beach Poly, they didn't even have a coach in place because their coach left and joined the ASU staff, Arizona State. Great. So there was no coach. People were panicking. Why are you choosing to go there? And I said, you don't trust the coach. You trust the system. You know what I'm saying? The system has not changed. And I feel the same way about Grambling. There may have been a few down years or whatever, but that doesn't change the prestige that's at that place. They can have 4 or 5 losing seasons back to back, but you step on that campus and you can still, or just the whole aura, you can still feel it. And that's what we were going towards. What system is going to be in place no matter what? It doesn't matter who the coach is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not that naive. It helps a lot. But in my opinion, from what I've studied and seen at Grambling, my sons have taken trips there. Football is really the icing on the cake.
Right.
You know what I mean? I said, from what I've studied at our HBCUs, if you don't do as well as you should, they put that on their shoulders and feel they failed. You're not going to get that nowhere else. And I said, this school is going to make sure you are a professional something. You don't have to be a professional football player. 1% of kids in college make it to the NFL. So all that crazy stuff people talk about, well, it's hard to get to an NFL from the HBCU. It's hard to get to the NFL from anywhere. So I said that this is me speaking to my kids, and my wife, of course, included. they're going to make sure you're professional in one way or the other. As a young Black man, of course, my son is half Samoan, but as a young minority man, I should say, they're going to take it upon them to make sure you have you learn manners. You're a professional. You learn everything there is to know about being an entrepreneur, about being your own boss, about being your culture. And then on top of all of that, you get to play football. At all these other schools, to be honest, it was the other way around. What's the football program like? Okay, now let's look at everything else. I didn't feel that here. Here, like I'm saying, I felt the football part is just something is the icing on the cake. This is Grambling. I don't know. Sorry, I hope that answered your question.
Oh, it does. One thing I like about your family dynamic, it seems like you all have great communication. What creates great families is the dinner table. When you can bring everybody at the dinner table, talk about your future plans, what you're doing right now, and the vision going forward. How important is communication with not only your wife, but your sons? How is it important to grow your family the way it is right now?
It's everything. It is everything. And you have to communicate consistently and often. And again, this is what works in our family. And don't change your message. Your message doesn't change. So a lot of people think, well, because the message hasn't changed, I don't need to tell them again. From my experience with my kids, every 6 months, they're a completely different person. So now they're going to receive the message different every time we talk about it. So my message is still consistent. I'm still beating the same thing into their head over and over. But the conversation we had about that exact same message when they were 10 is completely different when they're 15. It's completely different when they're 10 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever talk to my kids, they'll tell you when I'm like, whichever one passes through, I'm like, hey, go get your brothers. Come tell everybody to come sit down. And they're like, oh gosh, family talk. I'd be like, family talk. Get it? Let's go. Especially when there's some type of milestone hit. And it doesn't have to be a big milestone. It could be like when Tyson first went to high school, and then the next year Tristan was going to be there. So my expectations of them being at school together, it could be, who knows? It could be something small. But I always make sure to have those conversations. And if their friends are here, they're going to be sitting down in there listening too. Mm-hmm. My nephews, whoever's in the house is at that point is family. When it comes to family talks, when it comes to chores, just like when it comes to dinner, right? They expect to sit here and eat. That's cool. You're gonna expect to sit here and listen to this as well. You're gonna pick up that shovel and pick up after the dog. If you hear, you family, and this is how we're all treated.
That's how my family was. Our friends would come over. They would love to come over because my family would cook for them,
right?
And there was this one part of my life I lived in the suburbs, and they didn't get that type of cooking. That mama's cooking, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my kids, their friends love to come over for that, but they also love our gym is like a fitness center. I'm a full-time trainer. That's my job. That's all I do. So our gym is like a fitness center. So a lot of people, they like to come here to, hey, I want to work out, I want to train, and then of course, cooking is one of my passions. I grew up next door to my grandma and right down the street from the other one. So I learned to be domestic in that way, but cooking is like one of my favorite things to do.
Exactly. And for those who don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, brother, martial arts training?
Man, don't nothing get past y'all, huh? Man, y'all want to know something, you're going to find it out, huh?
Remember that song from Hall & Oates, Private Eyes?
Ain't no such thing.
I was joking with you. Private Eyes. We're doing our research.
Watching you. Oh my gosh. They know your every move. Yes. Okay. Did I just hit something? Am I on the screen still? Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. That was a glitch.
Okay. Was that me or that you? I'm sorry.
No, that was on my end. My apologies.
Sorry, they'll tell you this technology, boy, I don't get it. Okay. I'm gonna go to this house and find out who talked to you about that. So, all right. So yes, I'm a martial artist. I'm a martial arts instructor. I'm about to be 46. I actually started teaching when I was 23. So I've been teaching for a long time. And then before MMA was even labeled MMA, I was an MMA fighter. Then I became an MMA trainer. And I stopped training probably about, I don't know, when I say training, start teaching others MMA when I was about, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe a little longer. When, I don't want to hate on the sport or I don't want to hate on anybody, but it became a little bit too violent for me. The objective of the fighting became a little bit too much for me. I realized I was really teaching people how to kill other people with their bare hands. And that's what they were going in there to do. It wasn't about winning on points. It wasn't about the sport anymore. It was really about how much damage could I do to the other person. And that goes against the way I was taught growing up, in the 80s and in the 90s. It was more of a self-defense thing, mind control. Again, not to get too long-winded, but before I'd been studying all my life, mostly my teenage years. I got very, very serious around, I don't know, maybe 21 years old or so. And before I could really be taught how to fight, I had to go through maybe a year's worth of training on how not to have to fight. So that's my biggest thing. You know what I mean? How to get away from a fight so I don't have to. I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want anybody to fight me. It doesn't matter how much training I have. I'm still human. I can be taken down just like anybody else, in the right situation. So what I try to instill in my kids from that, I'm hoping that's where you were going with that.
Yeah.
All right. Is the discipline of it. Like I said, the discipline of knowing when to strike and, and praying that you don't have to. Most people, especially I hate to generalize, but in our culture, like Cedric said, we come from the I wish culture. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wish we would. That's how we go places thinking. Man, if somebody said, I hope somebody do this. I hope this happen. I want to reverse that. And like, man, if that might happen, I'm not going. And I had to really, really, really stick to this disciplined mindset, being involved with my kids, being involved in football, because football is such a high testosterone and masculine sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's egos and stuff everywhere, and everybody's a tough guy, right? Everyone's tough. I don't know what it does. It just brings out we call it machismo in everybody. Just everybody wants to walk around with their chest out within that 100 yards, that field right there. You got people on there that can act tough there because as soon as they step off the field, they're soft as ice cream. You know what I mean? Ain't really to bust the grape. So being a father, like you said, whose kids are heavily involved, you have to know when to make sure you don't let that switch kick in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't want to be fighting in front of my kids. I don't want to be. I'm almost 50. What I look like walking around in a street fight? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I've dealt with a lot of parents, coaches, trainers who have almost turned that switch on to the point where I can feel it. You know it is when you're dealing with somebody in a conversation and they give you that look, like they're willing to go there right then.
That look that says something's about to happen with this conversation.
And that's when I have to kick in and say, you're right. You know what? My mistake. My bad. This isn't the right time. It's another time. We'll talk about it. And I have to shut it off. And you look like the punk or whatever. Who cares, man? At the end of the day, I'm going home to my family. You're going home to yours. Next day, I may send a text or they may send a text. Hey, sorry it happened this way. You're right, blah, blah, blah. And then it's all squashed. And then if I dealt with some people that have taken me to that point, and I know they'll take me to that point again, I just won't talk to them. I get some that they'll text me and I just won't even respond. because I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there, and not only that, I don't want to make them get there. Like I said, I'm a human like anyone else. I'm not Superman. I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want anybody to fight me. Let's just call it. And you stay over there, I'll stay over here. I'm always cordial, especially the other brothers. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And keep pushing. So martial arts, that's my life. Everything I do is based around that. My teachings, my trainings, the way I handle my kids, the way, my wife can be going off yelling at me and I can just sit there and smile and be like, all right, so are we going to get ice cream or what? So it works, man. It helps me with the discipline of my kids. Of course, I've taught them physically how to fight. They're not, in my opinion, they're not mature enough to handle the whole aspect of it yet. They're still kids. They're big kids, but they're still kids. So we'll get a little bit more into it as they get older. But yeah, it's a huge part of my life.
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you, brother, behind every great man is a great woman behind them, a wife. How much your wife has meant to you and your family and your kids through this journey through sports?
All right. I'm going to score some points with the women watching this right now. One of the most important things to me from day one is that my kids see what it looks like when someone is loving a woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All that pride, I'm too tough to show emotion. No, that ain't reality. You're going to be by yourself. So I love the fact that they get to see me. In my opinion, I work so hard. And then really, they can't, with in their minds, they can't see the rewards of it. Because kids don't understand bills. They don't understand paying for gas. They don't understand that. So they don't understand, you know what I mean? To them, you're just going to work. They don't know what for. But I love for them to be able to see that all of them, my kids, wife, they all sit around with brand new stuff. No worries, no this, and that. Dad has the same old rags. You know what I mean? I get up and I do everything that I do to make sure y'all are comfortable. That, to me, that's the role. Is it fair? Who's to say? You know what I mean? In all men, most of us, we feel underappreciated. We feel that people are ungrateful. They don't understand what we go through, which could be true. But on the flip side, I guarantee she's thinking the same exact thing from her angle. And again, whose angle is right, whose is wrong? Neither. Even the kids are thinking from their angle that they're busting their ass. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
I know there's women watching. I'm going to keep a civil tongue much as possible. But kids think that they're working hard as you are. I got to get up and go to school. Then I got to go to practice. From their level, that's hard work. So my kids knowing that dad does everything he can to provide for her means a lot to me. Because they're going to be in charge of somebody's daughter one day. I don't have any daughters, so I can't empathize on what it feels like when your daughter is actually gone and someone else is in charge of her now. I can't imagine that feeling.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
Hey, my pops got.
Did I hit something? Did I hit something? Everybody, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spike up a nerve. Get the tissue ready.
Shout out to all the subscribers who are tuned in. HL Kid in the building. Ed Houston says, wisdom speaking. Yes, respect to our OGs, our veterans in life. It's good to have these conversations because, like Derek stated, we're living in a different time now. And they're getting away with dissing fathers, dissing black males, and teaching it like it's the norm, and it's not the norm. It's not the norm when I grew up. It's not the norm for his household. So what we're teaching is you can have respect for women, respect for your community, respect for all around, still have that manly type of mindset, father-like mindset. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with guiding your kids. There's nothing wrong with instilling leadership in your family and so forth. There's nothing wrong with listening to your wife or your significant spouse, because there may be days, hey, you may not know everything. You want to ask how to handle this. Nothing wrong with that. So these conversations are important. And This is really, really a fun stream. Brother Derek, we got to do more of these streams whenever you're available, because I love your wisdom.
Man, whenever, and I hope I got to the meat of what you were really talking about. I know you wanted to speak about fatherhood in sports. We haven't got to the sports part too much yet.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry if I got a little long winded and I took too much time.
Oh no, not at all. We addressed it. I believe in this interview, it was all addressed in sports because of what you said, communication. I'm sure in your conversations on that table, when all the family's eating, when you're making college decisions, you say, you go through this route, you do it this way. And I'm sure you're sharing that wisdom through your kids. And I believe your kids have a bright future, especially Tyson. Tyson, I look at his film, he's wiry, quick, tall, and he's still growing. They're talking about weight, but college is going to put weight on him.
To co-sign what you just said, we've been getting that for so long, right? But like you just said, he's 17 years old. He's not gonna. If he's still growing, and let this to all you dads out there. If your kids are still growing, it's gonna be hard for them to gain weight. And most college coaches or any coach that's about anything will know that. And there's no rush. Don't try to feed them all this different stuff. You're gonna ruin them to the point where they don't like it. You're making it a job so early. The weight's gonna come. Like I said, shout out to the Polynesian community. My wife is half Samoan. That strength is that strength and that weight is coming.
It'll show up in time.
We're not worried about it. We're not worried. We do lift, but we lift for strength. And if the rest of it comes along with it, then so be it. But just like he told me a message from one of the coaches this morning. They were like, "We don't care about your weight. Those skills ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be there when the weight comes on. They'll be there even if the weight don't come on. The skills are there." So
I'll tell you one thing, Mr. Bordeaux, when your son catching touchdowns for Grambling, it doesn't matter what weight he is, as long as that talent shows.
We're all excited. The whole area is excited. I almost said the family, but our whole area is excited. There's so many parents messaging me saying, "Okay, how do we get down there? You're our plug now. What do we need to do?" And I'm happy for him because that's what he wanted. He wanted to introduce Southern California to the life of HBCUs, and he hasn't even been there yet. So we go on the visit this coming week. So we're ecstatic, man. The whole family's happy. We're all proud. The hospitality we're getting from all of you guys, and either in that area or from that area, it's unmatched. I mean, we've received similar great treatment from a couple other organizations. I'm not going to put them on blast, but Nothing's been like this. Nothing at all.
There's nothing like home. Grambling State. As a father and being a sports dad, going through these recruiting process, what is the positives and negatives about it? Like through all of recruiting.
Okay. Ooh, great question. So I'll go with the negatives first so we could always end on a good note.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Some of the negatives are you have so many different people speaking to you, right? Mm-hmm. As well as the recruiter. And everybody wants to have a hand in what's going on. All right. And a lot of people don't take that the wrong way. If I have a quick minute, I'll explain what I mean by that and why I feel that's important.
Oh, you have the floor, my brother.
Okay. Very few sports, and I learned this from fighting, right? Your coach or your trainer in football, especially your position coach, you guys are like if you're good or if you show talent and your coach cares, you guys are like this, And so the same thing with your head coach. Think of how much time you spend with them while you're in football. Football's a long day. It's a long day. Practice sometimes 4 hours. Game, you got to be there 3 hours ahead of time. And then that's an hour before you're there after the game. So you're there a long time, right? So you, as a man, you have to accept that some of these other men really do feel your kid is close to being their son.
Mm-hmm.
Or their little brother, or you know what I'm saying? and you have to. It makes you guys do this because I'm paying the bills. He lives in my house, and this one's like, well, he's here with me all day. When he has a problem at school, he comes to me. So, rightfully so, they're going to have a great deal of opinions about what he should do. I hope I'm making sense. So now when everything comes around, here they come. And now you want to, as a dad, you want to stick your chest out like, no, I know what's best. This is my kid. And they're like, well, he spent hours and hours and hours with me, so I have a say so too. And then you have their opinion, you have your opinion, and then you have the recruiter with the facts. So it's all different. So sometimes your opinion may clash with the coach or the trainer, and then thank God you have the recruiter that can come in. I think I lost you again. So then you have the recruiter that can come in with the facts. So a lot of times I've been told that, imagine this, that I'm too involved. Like you know what I mean? We're looked at as not being involved at all. And now I'm too involved. And then I have people tell this has been going on for years. Well, you know, too many dads involved is going to ruin it for the son. The colleges aren't going to want to deal. What college is not going to want to deal with a child because his dad is too involved? I haven't heard that. I mean, come on. I'll tell you straight. Colleges have told us, different ones have said, okay, you're on our recruiting board. We don't need you to do this anymore.
What?
We know who you are. We don't need you to do this anymore. So it'll come if you're doing something they don't like, they will let you know. And they have. And it's not in a mean way. It's like, okay, I know you did this to get our attention. Well, now you got it. So you don't have to do that. But you'll have so many people, don't do this, don't do that. People say because people assume that I run my kids' social media.
What?
I manage it with them. Not their Instagram, because that's them and their friends. But I do help them with their Twitter. Because on Twitter, they're dealing with other adults. Other adults are hitting their inbox, not kids. So Tyson will get a message, or Tristan or Titus or Taj, and look at this, Dad. What's the best way to respond to it? And I'll say this, and that. Now, if we do this, say this for the next 6 months, by the time Tyson gets to college, now he should know how to respond to other adults in a respectful way on his own. I'm not expecting him to know how to talk to these people. Tyson was recruited by 25 to 30 schools, right? A lot of them were coming up to his school, talking to him. He comes out excited. This college start telling him about all the money he can keep after paying his monthly bills. I'm like, this is why I have to be involved. I'm like, what college recruiter goes to a kid and starts talking to him about money? You know what I mean? Of course, you got a kid from the hood that don't have much, or everything he does have, he's always had to split it with his brothers. And now you're telling him he can have an extra $300 a month. Of course, his mind's going to be blown. So that's one of the reasons why I say parents have to stay involved. And to touch on this really quick one more time, that's one of the best things about what we've been experiencing through Grambling. Their coaches were in contact right away, and they've stayed in contact, but not with him. They stay in contact with me.
With the father.
With the father.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's not me needing to be in control. None of that. It's me knowing that people understand that he is still a child. I don't care if he's 6'5". I don't care how many touchdowns he catches. He hasn't experienced enough life yet to make decisions that are going to affect his rest of his life. So, like he said, he told the story perfect. Hugh Jackson, he got our film Saturday. He called us Sunday morning. He made an offer Monday. But every time he calls, it's my phone. And he says, can you put your son on speaker so he can hear? The receiver coach, same thing. The general manager, same thing. They go through me to get to him. And that's a beautiful thing to me. I don't need to be in charge, but I do need to know what's going on. And also, it's a learning experience because I have 3 more coming right after him. So them doing that and being in touch with us on a daily, different coaches that weren't even on offense, just reaching out. I mean, every single day. It's been a beautiful thing. And that's the negative part of recruiting, is that people will try to stay in your head about what you need to do. When you don't know something, go directly to the recruiter. They'll answer you. They'll answer you right away. Now, the positive side is you learn from it. You know, you learn. It makes you feel good when people recognize your kid's worth. And it makes you feel good when they trust you enough as a parent to reach out to you to get to him. Not so much. It's crazy when people say, well, they need to learn to be men already. Come on, man. That's coming.
And you know what's so funny, Derek? Your son, especially Tyson, he's 17 years old. He's not even officially a man yet. And they always go and tell these kids, oh, he needs to be away from their fathers. He got to learn from himself. Man, my family been guiding me from my early 20s, when I was 18 to 22 to still on. Guidance is a great thing to have.
I still call my dad. I still call my grandfather. I go see him. My grandfather lives right around the corner. I'm still over there. Because just like I said about the kids, every time something happens in life, we're at a different stage. And it's like, okay, let me get back to that. Let me learn this. Let me learn that. So I would say some of the positives are just enjoying the ride. You know, as a parent, I was always taught that as long as your kids are getting compliments outside of the house, you're doing something right. Because that's when most people get outside and cut up. So if they're getting compliments outside the house, you're doing something right. So with you guys putting them on your podcast and talking to them, and then, like I said, coaches reaching out, alumni reaching out like crazy, tells me that mom and I did something right. It may not be perfect, but it's working. And that's one of the best things I can say about recruiting. And shout out to Long Beach Poly and all their alumni and staff. Everybody there is pretty much on a volunteer basis, and they've helped as much as possible with guiding us through this transition.
Yeah, shout out to Long Beach Poly, a historical high school they put out a lot of NFL talent, not just NFL talent, actors, musicians.
Apollo Creed, Cameron Diaz, just
man,
go on and on.
On and on and on and on. And Tamal Leader Sports Network, great brother, by the way, subscribe to his channel. He says, Mr. Bordeaux reminds me of my pops. I still look for his guidance still to this day.
I appreciate that. And I'm still looking for guidance from other people. Like I said, we don't know it all. You know, I don't know if a lot of your readers are younger, but they don't know who, Willie McGinnis is. He's the head of our football operations at Poly. And he's still right there available. He's a text away. Like, hey, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. He's still right there. I can go on and name so many. I wish I had, time to do that, but shout out to all of them. But this is a new world for me. This is my oldest son. I've never been through this part of it before. My wife was a D1 athlete. So was her brothers. But that was back in the 90s. Things are different. There was no social media. You were still receiving letters of intent in mail and letters of interest in mail, things like that. So we're all going through this for the first time. So like I said, shout out to the people that have stepped up and been willing to help.
Exactly. Any last words before we roll, my brother? Great interview. And thank you all who are tuned in to this at Raw Truth Media.
Last words. Again, thank you guys for supporting Tyson so much. We are working so hard for him to be able to come there and make an immediate impact. And just know his brothers are working just as hard, and they're all coming too.
You heard that first. You heard it first. Well, Mr. Bordeaux, if any of your sons, the younger ones, of course, if they're about to commit, you know what channel you can go to. DJ's Raw Uncut Truth, the People's Channel. Blessings, my brother. I pray for future success and present success. And You're an amazing father. I want you to know that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah.
Much love, everybody.
All right. Peace out.